Hello ladies and gentles, my name is Stephen Quick and today I'm trying something a weeny bit different, and that is a whole spray painting in real time with me narrating. I'm going to try to narrate as much as I can throughout this and explain what I'm doing, explain what I'm using, and hopefully not babble on like a weirdo. Anyway, I love the idea of like showing a painting in real time and seeing every single step, but that's pretty impossible when a painting takes, 3 or 4 days. This painting I anticipated taking maybe half an hour or so I figured that this might be a possibility. This is definitely not going to produce the best painting, I don't think, and I don't think this is going to produce the greatest piece of artwork, but what it's going to do is hopefully show you my process and show what I do and how I do it, and hopefully you can learn from it, help, and I'll be as entertaining as Harry Potter. Anyway, so what are we painting? We're painting Han Solo, or Han Solo. Han. I think I'm going to have to ramble and go off on tangents a bit to fill time on this. So we're doing Han Solo from Force Awakens, so it's old Han. So let's get in there and see what I'm doing. So I have a piece of board here. This is just plywood, a piece of plywood I found, and I have blacked it, and that's using, I think it's deep black paint. All the paint I use in this, I think roughly is Belton, which is a Molotow brand. Molotow is a brand, they call it Belton. It's quite an expensive spray paint, so if you're going to practice and try things out, don't buy this stuff because it is about £4 a can. Anyway, so I spray painted it black, and I used, I think, a bit of grey here and there. I believe that's granite or deep black. I'm looking up at my cans. Oh no, it's anthracite over the black just to tone it down a bit. I used the stencil there of Han to just give me roughly where his head was going to be, roughly where his face is going to be. And then I just itched my beard. Can you hear that? This is going to be frickin' entertaining. Hold tight. What was I saying? Oh, I used the stencil for one of those just to get roughly where his face was going to be. And then I'm doing the base tone, which is, in this case, a very light grey. This whole painting is going to be in monotones, various shades of grey. The base colour there is a colour called Pebble Grey, which is a very light grey, which nearly looks white until you put it against white and you realise it's not white. And then I'm just trying to give the background some interest, so I'm just popping a few colours here and there, just seeing what I'm going to get, splurging it around using whites and greys, and that's about it. So now we're going to get back into the actual painting. As you can see, I've put the stencil down. For some reason the camera didn't record me putting the stencil down, but as you can see in the top corners, you can see like a little green triangle. That's my anchor marks, so I can line up every single stencil. If you want to know about how to make anchor mark or anchor points, go onto my channel. There is a video on how to do that. It's pretty simple, but it's quite easy to do. It's even easy to do when you see someone do it. I always find that. It's easy to read, but it's harder to do unless you can see it. So I've put this down. I've masking taped off the sides so there's no overspray. This green stuff is called duct tape, which duck as in whack, 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 not duct as in, no, it's not called duct tape. What's it called? It's frog tape. It's called frog tape. God, it's green. I should know that. I'm only using this because I've run out of masking tape. Don't use this stuff because it's really, really, really expensive. And then I've just put a couple of tiles ahead kicking around, a couple of floor samples just to weigh down the sides and make sure there's no overspray. This is easy when you're doing the studio. You can put things around the sides to stop that, but obviously if you're doing this on a wall or stuff, you've got to be a bit more careful. So this is the first layer. This is going to be a 3-layer painting. So this is going to be the first layer, which is grey. A darker grey than the first base, which was Pebble Grey. This one is a paint called Grey Blue Medium. Is that right? Grey Blue Medium? Grey Blue? Yeah, Grey Blue Middle. It's called Grey Blue Middle. Oh God, I'm a fountain of fucking knowledge, aren't I? Grey Blue Middle. So this Grey Blue Middle is going in. As you can see, spray towards. No, sorry. So like, if you're spraying onto your stencil, you want to spray with the grain, if you like. So if you're doing a circle, you spray downwards to hit the top and upwards to do the bottom. If you spray towards where the cut has been made, you'll get underspray, and that's really annoying, looks like crap. So That's what I was doing there. You could see I was moving the direction of the can, putting it up and down and making it fit, and that seemed to work nicely. And take my glove off, and looks like oh no, I forgot to do the anchor points. You got to spray anchor points again. See the video. Get rid of the tiles, get rid of the boards, and here we go. Here is layer 1. Shouldn't have put that can in the way. Oh, look at that. It's like I'm thinking the same brain. And there we have the base layer of Han Solo. This is the grey layer, and it looks pretty good. As you can see, we've got the bottom bit there. I'm spraying in some drips just to I guess soften those edges and not make them look so cut off like it's a stencil, making it look a bit more blending in. I'm just doing that by pushing the cap very lightly to kind of flood the nib, and then that'll push the paint down. You can get needle caps, I think they're called needle caps. I've got some, but I always forget I've got them. They're really good for drips. If you want to do lots of drips, get a needle cap. So I have edited out the bit where I spent hours hair drying that to get it dry, which probably, this is my biggest weakness, is letting things dry. I can never be asked to let them dry. I always get impatient, then I get everything stuck together, and then I cry and have to go and have a beer. So this is the next layer. This is the next layer, which is a black layer. So this is the black. Only 3 layers for this one, like I said, because I wanted to make this a pretty fast video. Putting down the things to weigh it down, exactly the same as I did before. See, I'm not editing out any of this crap I'm talking. Maybe I should think something. Why did I decide to paint Han Solo? Because it's Harrison Ford. I love Harrison Ford. I'm a kid of the 80s. Harrison Ford is Blade Runner, is Deckard, is Han Solo, is Indiana Jones, is all those people. Oh, I remember that. So the cap was really clogged up. So when I went to spray it, I got like this big worm of black paint. It was gross. So you need to get new caps. Oh, what cap am I using? That's probably handy. So for the base stuff, I used a fat cap, which is the widest you can get, and then this is just a medium cap, a soft medium cap. Usually find the best a soft one for stencils. Fat ones will always be too big, and the small ones just block all the time. So I avoid using thin, skinny caps if I can. As you can see, I'm using a palette knife. This is a Liquitex palette knife that I got free from them. Thank you, Liquitex. When I painted at an event for them a few years ago. And this thing is just brilliant for pushing down on the stencil so you don't get your hand covered in, just to get the stencil nice and, what's the word? Nice and flat, nice and, well, sort of like the kissing. So the stencil gets pushed into the surface. I don't find you need to do it too much when you're spraying horizontal like this, but when you're spraying vertically at an event or on a wall, that comes in really, really handy. That black again is deep black from Molotow, and then I'm putting a tiny bit of highlight here and there around the edges in a anthracite grey, just to soften the edges a bit. Not something you really need to do. It's not something I do that often, but now and again I think, yeah, why not? So let's get rid of all those boards, get rid of these tile samples. They're not going on my floor. I'm renovating a house at the moment, so I've got tile samples and floor samples everywhere. So let's lift that one off, Steve. Abracadabra, and there we go. Now you can see we've got the black layer, we've got the grey layer, we've got the light layer, and you can really see that Han's face is popping out, and but at the moment it's a bit flat, and I find until you add the white or until you add your highlight layer, it will look a bit flat. That's why I'm not a fan of doing just 2 layers of sort of Banksy style when it's just black and white. So again, I'm just trying to do something to lose that sharp edge on the painting. Bit difficult to do a spray paint when you're spraying this small to do much freehand. I'm not the best spray painter in the world, and I definitely don't class myself as a freehand spray painter. So this was a bit difficult. If I had time, I would have probably used a brush here to do this, just to make things blend together. But because I was trying to do this fast, and for this video, I kept to the spray paints. Han Solo. Wow, Harrison Ford. Ever since American Graffiti, actually, I fell in love with him in American Graffiti. And when I say fell in love, I kind of, want to be him. We all want to be Indiana Jones, don't we? Or Han Solo. Who do you want to be, Indy or Han? I think I'd be Han. No, I'd be Indy. Yeah, Indy gets to hang out with very pretty women, whereas Han gets to hang out with a big hairy beast, unless that's your type of thing. So what am I doing here? Just farting around, looks like, spraying bits here and there. And now we will be drying this off. So I've probably taken the hairdryer to that for a few hours. Oh, stop messing around with it, Steve. Come on, next step. I see I'm not happy with how that's blended in, so I'm just... Yeah, there we go. That doesn't look good, but I will sort that out in a minute. And now I have finally stopped farting around and making it look good and cool. And now I'm putting on the last layer, which is the highlight, the white in this case. I'm using a white. I'm using Signal White, it's called, which is a very pure white, but not the purest white. This is getting confusing. The problem you have with spray paint is you can't mix it. You know, if you're painting with acrylic or oils, you go, well, that's not quite the right white, so I'll add some black to it, blah, blah, blah. Spray paint, you don't have that option unless you layer it via mist coats, or if you use a blending, or if you mix them together like they did back in the day. Back in the day, it makes me sound like I'm old, which I am, but not that old. So this is Signal White. White is... All light colours are a pain in the ass, really, when it comes to spray paint. They will take multiple coats. They will take multiple thin coats. That's something I learned. If you want a nice thick white, don't just spray it on and say, oh, there goes nice and thick, because it will run and it will not dry and it will congeal and look gross. So the whites, you need to give them a couple of layers. So this is, I think I gave this 2 layers in the end of the white. Again, nothing different to what I've done before, using the palette knife just to weigh down the stencil, make it flush. That's the word I was trying to think back then, the flush. Make it flush with the board. And we're making Han Solo's highlights. I gave this guy lots of highlights this time because he's got that weathered, wrinkly face in Force Awakens, and I really want to capture that. But I kind of find it beautiful when you paint wrinkles, a sort of Tom Waits face or a Bob Dylan face or a Charles Bukowski face. Those are just so beautiful to paint. They're so interesting. They may not be the ones you're going to see. Well, actually, Han Solo is a damn good-looking guy, but you know, I'm talking way too much about how much I fancy Harrison Ford, aren't I? I may have to address that. My girlfriend does look like Harrison Ford. She doesn't. She doesn't. I keep saying I'm not going to edit out the ums. I'm not going to edit any of this because I thought it'd be quite nice just to do it like this. So let's take all those tile samples off. I've got lots of pens there. Look at my Harry Potter mask. Oh, there he is. Han Solo, my future husband. Oh, good. I've moved in a bit. That's handy. This is roughly it. So this was a quick spray paint, a quick idea and trial and expression. And I like how it's come out, actually. Seeing it was a very quick painting. So what are we on now? 12 minutes? So this has been done in 12 minutes, 13 minutes, minus drying time, which would have used a hairdryer. As you can see, I'm still trying to blend all this in, which is starting to get there now. It's sort of blending in. I'm just using, again, a soft middle-sized cap, and just half spraying away from where I want the fade to be. I think it's come out pretty good, actually. I'm quite happy with that. I think I'm going to... I'm doing more stuff. I guess here I'm just trying to balance it. The problem with stencils, and I think that's why I don't class myself as a stencil artist. I'm an artist who uses stencils. I find stencils a bit flat sometimes. What they're brilliant for is they're brilliant for being fast. And as you can see in this video, I've done this painting in 13 minutes, and now I'm doing stuff that doesn't really need doing, but will improve it. Stencils can look a bit flat and a bit lifeless. And also you get a lot of stencil artists, when you start out, they just look like Photoshop filters. And that's something I think I've been guilty of in the past, but that's because that's the pop art look. This style that I have now for cutting my stencils is probably not best to go on about in this video, but there are other videos where I'm talking about when I'm cutting my stencils, whereas I like to sketch and I like to draw with a knife to give these patterns, these things that a computer can't generate because they're random and they happen when you're doing it, the expression of when you're cutting. So that's why I'm adding all this extra layers, because I want to get the flatness of a stencil to go. I don't want him sitting on this background. So that's what I'm doing with the drips and the blops. Oh, I'm using some blue here. This again just to soften, to give it a bit more of a I don't know what the word is, to give it a bit more of a sort of dynamic feel and a bit of color just to pop it around. That I was using there looks like 94. I'm not sure what blue that is in the 94. A very good paint, that one as well. If you can get hold of that, use it. The colors are much more muted, much more realistic colors to the Belton. The Belton's definitely more what's the word, sort of more vibrant, more in your face colors, whereas the 94 are more smooth. I suppose I should say what I'm doing here. So I'm taking a Posca paint pen or ink pen, and just adding a few twirls and swirls and what have you. Again, trying to get rid of that hard line that you have between a stencil and the background, trying to get it all to blend, and give it a bit more of, a dynamic feel. If this was a painting I was doing for a lot longer, I would definitely have gone, or if this was a normal painting I'd do, and I had longer, I would go back into this with a brush and acrylic and really blend the two. Because I wanted to do this fast, I'm using the paint pens. I'm treating this like I'm painting on a wall and I'm trying to get away quickly before someone comes and shouts at me, and I get arrested even though I am a very old man. So I'm just using white Poscas and black Poscas and just doodling, twirling, swirling, making the same swirl patterns that I make when I cut my stencils, and they look pretty good. I think that white one's probably a bit too much. I'm pretty sure I seem to remember I spray over that, and then I'm doing some dots. I think at this point I thought, hang on a minute, that looks like spaceman, Han Solo, done, let's go. So I'm just doing some dots just to give it interest. This is a very quick painting, and I'm actually really happy with how it's come out. It's really surprising. So I'm just adding a bit more colour, again, using these Posca pens, which are fantastic pens. There are a lot of paint pens out there, Liquitex, Molotow, Montana, Posca. I find the Posca ones by far the best. If you're looking, you want to buy one, buy the Poscas. And then what am I doing here? I've got a few pens. Oh, I'm just doing the highlights, the light flares in the eyes, just the dots. I mean, the eyes are, I've said this before in other videos, no matter how much you f up a painting, no matter how much you mess up the painting, no matter how wonky the nose is, whatever you do, you can fix it by making the eyes look good. This one I'm not sure is a good example. Those eyes are a bit flat, but I think it's looking good. So I'm just finishing it off by softening things, getting rid of that white line, as I said I would. And it's roughly there, I would say. You going to stop painting now, Steve? I'm rubbing my hands together. That's probably a sign that I'm finished. Oh, I'm not finished. What am I doing now? I'm deciding to put yellow in it. I was at an event once and people were watching me and they were getting so annoyed because I kept doing this. I kept going, okay, it's done. And then pick up a pen. I'm done. There we go. So there is a very quick painting of Han Solo. 3-layer spray paint stencils in about 12 minutes. I reckon we finished it. 13 minutes before I started farting around. I forgot I did that. Man, I'm funny. Anyway, so there's the painting. I hope you enjoyed this weird format. I hope I didn't bore you too much with this wanging on voice. Please subscribe. Leave any comments down below if you've got any more questions that I haven't covered. My mouth's very, very dry now from talking for this long. Being an artist, you don't really talk to many people, so you don't talk very much. Subscribe, like, comment. I've just said that, haven't I? I better go. So from me and Han Solo and that quick, real-time 15-minute painting, I thank you. I shall see you in the next video. Take care. Stay shiny. Bye-bye.